Hello everyone, and welcome to 3 Levels Deep. I'm Matt, and today I am joined by Santo.
Hello.
And no one. We're down a man today.
Yep.
It's just the two of us.
Recording podcasts on the side.
And we've got a bit of just a normal podcast for you today. Just going to be talking about what we've been playing, or in Santo's case, what he's been streaming.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much all the games I've been playing, I've been streaming, so...
Over at 3 Levels Deep TV on Twitch.com.
Yeah.
Or is it Twitch.tv? It's Twitch.tv, damn it.
They probably have both. I probably redirect.
I'm double... Yeah, it's Twitch.tv. But yeah, I guess... Did you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I streamed... Well, I'll say the entirety. It's up to you whether or not it's actually the entirety of Pokémon Shield. Gen 8. I went from, the start to beating the champion at the end. I consider that the entirety. Post-game means after game. So, haven't actually played any of the post-game.
The post-game's not great anyways.
Yeah. I figured, a lot of them tend not to be. Like, the last one I think I really enjoyed was Diamond and Pearls, really. With the, Battle Frontier Island kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or was it Platinum that had the Battle Frontier?
I
think it was Platinum.
Yeah, I think it was Platinum.
They both had the island, but I think Platinum had, way more stuff. Because that had, a bunch of different, it wasn't just the battle tower. It, had the... My favorite was the, I forget what it was called, but it was the one where you basically got, rented Pokemon. And then picked one from each team that you beat to try and, build a good team.
Oh, I can't remember. That's in
the
Platinum?
Battle Dome or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember what that's... I don't know that I did much in the post-game of Platinum myself. But yeah, Pokemon Shield. So, what do you think?
So, Pokemon's changing. That much is fact.
Yep.
Pokemon's a series for me that I think that if they just made, Pokemon Black and White over and over again, I'd probably be satisfied. Just, here's a bunch of new Pokemon, here's the same kind of formula, new attacks, new gym leaders, new areas, maybe a few fun gimmicks. But they haven't... fun gimmicks in terms of, traversal and settings and stuff like that. Not battle gimmicks, because they can't seem to make any one of those in a way that I like.
Out of all of them, the one for Scarlet and Violet seems the most interesting to me. Potentially,
yeah. I think I need a few more details about it before I render final judgment, but it's definitely better than the stupid Z moves. Those were the dumbest thing.
It's better than just a big, powerful move or a more powerful temporary form with just better stats.
Yeah, and then there's a whole, there's the Dynamax, and there's the Gigantamax, and I swear I don't know the difference. I didn't even realize, the Fire Gym Leader, I didn't even realize I was fighting a Gigantamax Centiskorch instead of just a Dynamax one.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell.
Dynamax is so that every Pokemon can get the stat increase and everything from that, but only some select Pokemon have unique forms.
I think they have a unique move too, right?
Yeah, there's some unique moves, but for the most part it's just the move. There's a Dynamax move for each type.
Yeah.
And in the base game, the only way you can get those unique forms is from catching it from a raid.
Right.
So it's not even you have to go out of your way to kind of get any.
Yeah, so when I say Pokemon's changing, the the real problem for me is just the Pokemon games feel a lot more. Okay, I kind of want to say linear, but that's not true because they've always been linear for the most part.
There's only been a few games like Gen 1 and 2, you can do a lot out of order.
Yeah.
In terms of gyms.
That's mostly it. But I guess what I mean more is that you're like, it feels like you're railroaded. Like,
yeah,
here's the next thing. You're always like told, here's the next thing you gotta do. Here's the next thing you gotta do. Here's the next thing you gotta do. The element of exploring is gone.
They're very hand-holdy.
Yeah, so that's something I am slightly more excited about for the open world Scarlet and Violet. If that, sense of exploring is back. Like, I remember, like the caves in Pokemon Shield, and the like little dark forest area. It was just like they were really small and pretty straightforward. Like, I remember getting lost in Mountain Moon as a kid. All right,
yeah.
Like,
give me a strength puzzle in a cave, please.
I got stuck in for like weeks in
Ice
Pokemon
Path?
Gold. Ice Path, yep. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out the little strength blocks into the pits, into the ice floor puzzle. I couldn't figure it out. But Pokemon Shield is like railroady in a very weird way, where there's plot stuff happening, but you're explicitly told, don't worry about that, just go continue the gym challenge so that you can fight Leon at the end. And then you do that the entire game until you get up to the very end, and right before you're about to fight him, like 5 things happen that you have to do.
Yep. Here comes the plot.
Like, what is this? Is some of the, this is bad pacing for any game, not even just a Pokemon game. Like,
though it's not the first time the champion fight's been interrupted.
No, but it's the most egregious.
Yeah, it is. At least in Black and White, when that happened as well, plot was happening throughout the game, and you weren't just ignoring it.
Yeah, and like Pokemon Black and White had an actual, pseudo-villainous organization instead of just a bunch of frickin' like fans of their local YouTube
there
star.
Hasn't been a good villain team since Gen 5.
Yeah.
Now that being said, I do like Team Skull.
Yeah, Team Skull gets a pass for their walk animation alone.
At least Team Skull has personality. Even the grunts have personality.
Yeah. Team Flare, very snappy dressers, even if, they were pretty lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, Team Yell in this one, they're just like...
They're just groupies. They're just Marnie's groupies. That's it.
Yeah, and like every... Like 90% of the time when you're barred to go to the next area, it's just because they're just like standing there, just being pricks. Just yelling. And it's like... Okay.
They're living up to their name. Team Yell.
Yeah. Shield just didn't really feel like a very good role-playing game. Like, no exploration, very linear. That being said, I do like a decent amount of the new Pokemon. I think there are some good designs. Definitely better than like X and Y. That had some really bad designs. They introduced an entire new type in that, and like still all other designs were really bad. But I was pretty happy with my team in Shield. One thing that I'm just like really weirded out, but I don't know the best way to put it, but like the dynamic of having just Pokemon walking around the overworld made me not want to fight ever. Which is like the complete opposite to me in most RPGs. Most RPGs I get into most of the fights, like I don't tend to run from random encounters unless I'm really just like trying to do something. If I'm progressing through the story, I just get into all the fights I can because generally the game expects you to. But in Pokemon Shield, you get so much experience candies from doing the Dynamax battles, and the fact that all your Pokemon gain experience from every battle. Like, if I was fighting a lot of the random encounters that I was going up against, I would have been insanely overleveled.
Oh, yeah. Like, how hard is it to... Like, whose decision was it even to remove the toggle for experience share?
I don't know. But, okay. So I've actually turned my opinion on this slightly, where I think that all your Pokemon getting experience from battles is actually fine. The problem is the amount. If it was like 10% instead of 50% for every Pokemon, that would be fine, I think.
Encourage more switching up of your party, who's in the lead, yeah.
Yeah, but also make it, a little bit easier to passively train lower level Pokemon, for example. But, think about it. If you have a party of 6 and you fight a Pokemon battle, your first one gets 100% of the experience, and then all the other 5 get 50% of the experience. That's 350%.
Split amongst themselves.
Yeah, that's 350% experience, from one battle, when it should be, under 50%.
Whereas if it was 50% experience split amongst the rest of the team.
Yeah, that'd be 10% each.
Yeah.
That'd be much, much better, I think. Because, that's the thing. The entire time through Pokemon Shield, it just felt small. The entire region felt small because I was just kind of running from A to B, avoiding Pokemon instead of actually battling them. So my time spent through all these different routes, I was just finished routes pretty much instantly. And there's also other pacing problems because of these small areas where you'd have a decently large stretch between 2 gyms, and then you'd have 2 immediately right after one another.
Oh, I know exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah. Going from the, in my case, the ghost type to the fairy type gym was one little forest away.
Yeah, and in that forest, you don't even get overworld Pokemon.
Oh, you're right, you don't in that section.
Yeah, it's only the little exclamation marks that appear in the grass. There's no overworld Pokemon there. Yeah. Aside from a couple Impidimps off to the side of the path that can ambush you.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, and the the shaking exclamation point is you don't get into that battle once you see it. If you just keep running, you won't get into any battles. The game still had repels, but I'm not even sure what those did because I never had to use them.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself. I'm sure I've looked it up before because I was curious as well, but I've forgotten how. Maybe they only affect those in the grass encounters.
Yeah. I mean, if they stopped every level 12 Choodle from just bum rushing me while I'm trying to walk through the wild area, then maybe that's actually a good thing. But I don't know. So one other thing that's really messed up about the pacing is the levels of trainers and stuff for the pacing. Generally in one area, every trainer has the same level for all their Pokemon, despite how far along in that route you are. So, you're getting so much experience from these battles. If you're fighting every trainer, you might gain 2 to 3 levels for your entire party from the time you start a route till the end, and then you're still over leveled. So I had to stop myself and remove a bunch of my mainstay Pokemon from my team just to keep my Pokemon at same-ish levels as the trainers I was fighting.
So that's why you were switching around your team so much. Okay. Because I remember watching you train a bunch of stuff that wasn't your main team.
Yeah. I got to a point where, in the end game routes, I was just okay, I'm going to use 2 of my B team and a bunch of Galar Pokemon that I haven't evolved yet, just to get Pokedex entries kinda for these new Pokemon to see what they are and what moves they learn and get a better handle on them. And that was actually kind of fun, fighting with basically a 2 Pokemon party. It got me into a lot of situations where I had to really think about how I could actually win.
I guess that is kind of one pro towards the new experience share, just being able to do that.
Yeah. But again, you could do that if the amount was less,
Yeah.
or like I said, like I had so many candies from experience candies from doing the raid battles. Just like I didn't even think I did all that many. I did a fair amount off camera, but I still don't think I did that many. I could probably get like, you know, maybe 20, probably more Pokemon up to from like level 10 to level 50, like easily, like no problem. That's how many candies you get from those things. So
like I've got a ton on my file, like so many that pretty much I just use if there's a community day in Pokemon Go and there's a bunch of and it's a Pokemon that can be transferred into Shield, I'll just catch them and try and catch the shinies in Go and then just transfer them over there to evolve using the experience candies.
Yeah. I learned that 99 is not the limit for item count because of how many bloody candies I got.
Yep. Hundreds.
So
now, I wonder if it caps at 999.
Maybe. So, yeah, so the level pacing was just, like, kind of weird that way. But then you get to the very end, and it just goes off the rails. Because of... Like, you get to basically the champion battle, and then you get interrupted for, like, 3 trainer battles or something. And like, 3 big trainer battles and a few grunts. And then you go back to the champion, and he's, like, 10 levels higher than the last battle you fought. And it's like, What did you expect here? That I was gonna, like, not immediately go to this champion battle I've been cucked out of for the last 45 minutes? Is this just, like, your way of enforcing the fact that Leon's supposed to be unbeatable? That you're supposed to lose the first time? I cheesed the hell out of him, to be fair.
I saw it, yeah. So many revives and potions used.
Yeah. Again, I had so much money from just, like, all the crap I was finding in the wild areas that I had so many full restores and revives that I got to the point where, oh, okay, your Pokemon can't do half my HP? Okay, my entire team gets revived over the slow course of, like, 20 turns.
Just so putting one out to be a shield and just bring everyone else back. Yep.
So I sort of enjoyed my time with it. Like, I still like, collecting the Pokemon, thinking up nicknames, building teams, building movesets. Like, that's all still fun to me. But
yeah,
just the region itself.
Yeah, the region itself. But yeah, I always love going in and, like, trying out all the new Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just even doing, like, multiple playthroughs and just trying a whole new different team, which is actually pretty easy on the Switch. You just have to create a different profile.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I haven't actually used, like, the Pokemon Home thing or whatever, but, like, would you be able to transfer Pokemon between 2 profiles on the same Switch using that?
Yes. I can use my main Pokemon Home account, and I can select which profile I want to check Pokemon games for Pokemon in Home.
Cool. Because, like, that's something that I haven't done all that many times, is do multiple playthroughs of Pokemon games. Unless you count, the cash grab third side game in the series,
yeah.
like a diamond or a platinum or a emerald or whatever.
I mean, my main reason for having played through Shield, I want to say I've played through it 3 times, and I borrowed my brother's copy of Sword for a playthrough once as well. But I would not have played through it that much if it weren't for trying to get certain legendaries for my living decks, which I need multiple of.
Right.
Because, like, even one of the first DLC adds a legendary called Cubfu. It has 2 different evolutions, depending on which tower you go to in that DLC. And you can only get 1 Cubfu per playthrough.
Of course.
So I had to do 3 playthroughs on my copy of Shield on a second... Well, two playthroughs on a second account, just so I could get a second one to evolve and a third one just to keep as is for my living decks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the only time I've ever done like a pure second playthrough was in Heart Gold, where I traded some Pokemon over, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go from the start with this team, and it was like,
Yeah,
it was a
I've done
beast
that a
of a
couple
team.
times.
Like it was like Torterra, Blaziken, Tentacruel, Dragonair. I never actually got to be a Dragonite by the end of the game.
That's fine. Just throw an Eviolite on it.
Yeah. Absol. I forget who my last Pokemon was.
Yeah, I've been meaning to replay through my copies of White and White 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to try the hard mode on White 2 when I get to it.
There's a hard mode?
Yes. Now, White 2 actually comes with the easier mode. But if you connect with someone who has Black 2, you can actually unlock the harder mode, which I think... I'm not sure exactly what it entails, but I know some gym leaders will have more Pokemon. I think they're like higher level as well.
Huh. Maybe I'll have to do that. I actually own Black 2, I think. It's either Black 2 or White 2. But I started playing that and then just got like... I was so impressed from my first playthrough of Black and White being all new Pokemon. And then in 2, I had so many instances where I actually wasn't seeing that many of the Pokemon from that region. Like, it was just like, oh, here's, Riolu or whatever. It's like, I don't want one of these. I'm over Lucario.
That's because when Black and White came out, a lot of people were complaining about it being all new Pokemon.
Those people don't know game design. Like,
I was perfectly fine with it. I loved and it makes sense with how big of a region change it was. Like, it was supposed to be like the change is effectively from Japan to the eastern US.
Yeah.
So having a bunch of all new Pokemon just made sense, and I loved it. Yeah, but apparently a lot of people complained, and that's why they changed it up for the sequels.
Yeah, like, I try to use as many new Pokemon as I can, or regional forms. I'll make that exception.
I like regional forms.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the best additions from the last couple are the regional forms. Even though they kind of make the base forms kind of forgettable in some cases. It's like,
have you seen Wiglet?
What the hell's going on? All right, I'm not happy. I'm not happy about Wiglet.
No, because now they seem
Diglett.
Because now they also seem to be going off into like similar family new first stage, kind of branching off regional forms as well now.
Yeah, because some of them just got kind of silly with like, oh, only the regional form gets to evolve. It's like, that's dumb. Like Sirfetch'd, I think that's dumb. That you can't evolve a regular Farfetch'd into one of those.
Yeah, in fact, they do seem to kind of be fixing that a bit with, or at least changing that a bit with Scarlet and Violet, because now Girafarig has an evolution, and it's just regular Girafarig evolving into it.
Yeah, that's good. Is this name still a palindrome?
Farigiraf.
Say that 3 times fast. But yeah, so...
But, apparently there were a lot of people, after they revealed that name, they were just like, I actually nicknamed my Giraffarig's that.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people nicknamed their Alolan Diglets Wiglets. Considering that all they got was a fresh trim.
Wig trio.
Yeah. But yeah, so I wasn't really a fan that much of Pokemon Shield. I'm still, like, cautiously optimistic about Scarlet and Violet. Like...
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I know I'll go in and enjoy, like, trying out the new Pokemon. But outside of that, as for the rest of the game itself, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm also pretty, on the, like, initial setting of it. Basically, it's just like, oh, you're in a Pokemon Academy and you're going to do a field project. I'm like, God damn it. Is everything going to be said in a bloody school now? I already dealt with that with Fire Emblem. I don't need that Pokemon to do this too. School is not supposed to exist. 10-year-olds are supposed to go fight.
I'm just glad it's it's not a replacement for the gym system, and that the gyms are still there as well. It's just another thing to do.
Yeah. Alright, so we're going to keep the gym challenge plot and the region-specific plot separate. Like they did in Pokemon Shield. Except keep them separate all the way, instead of one of them not existing till the end.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. So, that's one game that I streamed. Before I talk about the other game that I streamed, I did want to mention that maybe this is an interesting topic. We experimented a little bit with the Risk of Rain 2 mods.
Oh yeah, I was watching you guys play some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them were pretty interesting. Some of them were blatantly not well created, I'm sorry to say. I know there's only so much people can do, but some of them literally glitched my game out. And some of them actually fit fairly well. Like, I did Tracer from Overwatch fit pretty well. Jinx from League of Legends fit pretty well. Ganondorf kind of fit, but he was kind of didn't. Like, some people, a lot of the characters are like pretty melee focused, and that's not exactly the best, the easiest thing to do in Risk of Rain. There's a lot of flying enemies. Though Ganondorf just has straight up the flame choke from Smash, so you can literally like grab them and dive bomb them out of the air.
I mean, but of course there was Goku and Vegeta, which you could fly around with to get those flying enemies.
Yeah, but those ones had too much stuff going on for them.
They did.
Like,
the UI was ridiculous.
Like, they required a dependency mod to have extra ability slots, okay? Like, they required additional mods for them to get them to work. But they got me thinking a little bit. Like, I generally don't use mods or explore mods at all for games. I generally like them pure. Like, developer intent matters to me a lot, so...
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. If it comes to, like a poor port, though, and you're, like, trying to restore something...
Right.
Like, those are good mods. I've been meaning to check out the Sonic Origins collection, and you can bet I'm going to install a mod to restore the Sonic 3 soundtrack.
Yeah, like, I've installed a mod to restore the original Super Nintendo soundtracks for the Final Fantasy Game Boy Advance ports, because those Game Boy Advance ports have some extra content to them, but they kind of butchered the music, in my opinion, because the GBA... apart from very few games, the sound on the GBA was pretty lackluster.
Yeah,
it's that weird middle ground where it didn't have like the extremely low fidelity charm of the original Game Boy, but didn't have enough to actually emulate, a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, sound wasn't too good, but there were some pretty good visuals on the GBA though.
Yeah, it was nice that there was, a platform for sprite art with all home consoles going to 3D. Like, the only other mod that I've really spent any long amount of time on is the Long War mods for XCOM, the XCOM reboot and XCOM 2, which those I mostly like just because they add a ton more character classes that are actually pretty well thought out, as well as like enemy types. But they make the game too difficult and unforgiving.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Basically, their philosophy is that you're supposed to lose missions. And my philosophy is you're never supposed to lose a mission in a strategy game if you have a good strategy. But there's some situations where it's just like, no, this is way too many enemies for you to deal with at this time. With the equipment you could possibly get by this time, too. So... like I said, that's why I prefer, pure experiences that are developed with a clear-cut design rather than tacking on stuff to other people's.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, so the last game I've been streaming, I'm in the process of streaming it right now, and we'll see if I'll actually be able to finish it, is I've been streaming Fire Emblem 7, one of my favorite games. I've played through it, start to finish, in the double digits of times. But this time I'm playing it with a twist. I'm playing it as a randomizer. I'm using a program called Yoon, which is the name of the canonical God of Chaos in one of the Fire Emblem games, which is a great name for a randomizer.
Yeah.
And it's got a ton of different options for randomizing many of the games, actually, not just Fire Emblem 7. Not even just the ones on the Game Boy. It's got some randomizer for Path of Radiance, which was on the GameCube, as well as Genealogy of the Holy War, which is on the Super Nintendo.
Okay,
Super
so
Famicom, I should say.
It's an all-inclusive randomizer, kind of like the universal Pokemon randomizer.
Yeah, it doesn't support every Fire Emblem game. There's a different randomizer out there for like Three Houses, for example. But this one, it lets you randomize and customize a ton of stuff, like different base stats, different character classes, different stat growth rates, even which characters you get at what times. You can shuffle them around, which is really funny to see certain characters have completely different personalities, because obviously the game script stays the same. It's just, the toughest nails army general is suddenly just like a prissy, snooty noble cleric girl. It's like, okay, it's kind of funny. But also lets you randomize weapons, and as well, it has a few different ways to randomize enemies and buff enemies as well. So, and you can turn all these different options on and off, so you can really customize your experience. So there's a lot of different runs you could do. You could do just a vanilla run with buffer enemies. You could do a run where just, your base stats change a little bit, or your growth change a little bit, just to give it a little bit more of a dynamic experience for a game that somebody may have played through double digits of times.
So do you have everything randomized?
I have damn near everything randomized. Like all of the main portions of the game that can be randomized are. The only things that I haven't is I disabled a couple weapon special effects to be randomized because they would make things horrifying. I already decided to randomize every weapon. There's options in there to keep the basic weapons that you might get safe from randomization, so you always have a base set that's fine. But in this one, for example, Iron Lances, the basic lance that a lot of enemies are going to have, gives +5 to their defense, which means that they take 5 less damage in a game where you're generally doing 8 to 10 damage in the early game per hit. So
wow.
In the early game, some of my characters couldn't even damage these guys.
Just tanky enemies right off the bat.
Yeah. There's a couple that I probably options I also should have turned off that I didn't really realize. For example, one of them is weapon durability, being able to modify the uses of that. And I probably shouldn't have randomized that, because it doesn't really... It just makes things a little bit more annoying in most cases, but there's certain long-range magic tomes that can reach up to 10 spaces. That I got one of them that had... Normally it's supposed to have 5 uses, so you can kind of just park units there in range that can tank it and be fine, or run down, or you can try to run down and kill the guy. But in this one, they have 22 uses. So it's difficult to wait that out. And actually, the final boss of the first act of the game had one of those.
Oh no!
And that was in a situation where you literally couldn't rush up and kill him, so I had to tank it. Luckily, I didn't have any healers at that point. You're supposed to have a healer at that point, but mine got randomized into a warrior or something. Probably a pirate. Everybody got randomized into damn pirates on my game. So I just had to wait it out and hope that I dodged enough lightning bolts, and I did. That's what I was able to get through. Yeah, it's
Sounds
really
like a mess.
Yeah. And, right, so there's a couple more random options I didn't turn on. Like, for example, one of them is to not randomize thieves for your party, because you need thieves and lockpicks to be able to open doors and open chests. And if you don't have those, then you're kind of screwed. You might be able to soft lock yourself if things go awry that way, but so I'm just like, no, let's not deal with that. I did, however, randomize special classes, which are like bards and dancers, which you're only supposed to have one of at a time, and those are units that can spend their turn to make another unit move again. So I've been able to do some really busted stuff by having two of them. And in theory, I can make them dance and sing back and forth and just gain experience over the course of one turn until they're max level. But I've refrained from doing that.
No cheesing the randomizer.
Not in that way, no. But like, there's usually you're guaranteed to have healers at certain times. You're guaranteed to have mounted units that have good movement at certain times. You're guaranteed to have flying units that can fly over terrain at certain times. But I had none of those. So I've gone through a fair amount of the game, like 2/3 of the game at this point. I've gotten past one level that possibly I could have been locked out of via RNG, because it was a rescue mission. And I didn't have any flyers that could properly rescue the guy.
Oh.
But there's one mission coming up that I might not be able to beat. We'll see. But I've been enjoying it so far. I don't think I'll do it again, honestly. Not for a while, at least. All it's making me do is want to play through the game normally, which is a problem. I've got too much stuff to play.
Oh, I know that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of having too much stuff to play, you've been playing for a few games too, right?
I've played a fair amount since our last episode. That wasn't that massive 4-hour beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where should I start? I guess I'll start with some of the smaller games I played. I played through Donut County.
Nice.
Which I know you and Alex have talked about before, but yeah, no, it's just a fun little charming game, just quick little like hour and a half thing. Kind of a little in the vein of Katamari, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was just a fun little charming game. I played it before my Game Pass expired. Next, I also played Aperture Desk Job.
Oh, okay.
Which is it's just a short little half-hour experience that Valve released along with the release of the Steam Deck.
Okay.
And it's just like a charming little... If you like the comedy in Portal 2, you'll enjoy this. It's just a fun, quick half-hour, just get through it in one sitting and just have a good laugh.
Cool.
But basically, you're just you're working the product inspection line at Aperture, and you're just inspecting toilets.
All right.
And
Figures
it
that
just
they manufacture those.
Yeah, and it just kind of snowballs from there for a bit. But yeah, no, it was just a fun little experience. And next, I played Panzer Dragoon.
Which one?
The HD re-release of the original.
Huh. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, no, that was just a fun little on-rails style experience. Sega's answer to Star Fox. Yeah, no, that was fun. But now, those are just the short little experiences out of the way. I played the original Resident Evil. Not the original. I played the HD version because I was not going to
that game. Did you play?
The more recent
one.
I really enjoyed that game.
Really?
I did both playthroughs, Jill and Chris, and managed to get the best ending on both of them without looking anything up.
Oh, wow.
I think I might have a newfound love for survival horror.
Well, you picked the right month for it.
Yeah, plus I'd never really delved into any survival horror games or Resident Evil for that matter. I've seen all but the last movie.
Oh, God.
But I'd never touched any of the games. And I had a blast. Like, just... The game itself is, for the most part, it's like... I want to say it's 75% a big puzzle. The whole thing is a puzzle. And I just had so much fun with it. And I got it because there was a Humble Bundle a couple months ago that included the HD remake of, or the HD version of Resident Evil, the new remakes of RE2 and 3. It also came with Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, 7, and Revelations 1 and 2. So I'm just going to be working my way through those and hopefully having a blast. I'm hoping I'll get through Resident Evil 4 before its remake comes out, and then kind of just do a back-to-back original Resident Evil 4 followed by the remake.
Wow. It's a lot of games, man.
It is a lot, but yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping into the next one. But off the heels of Resident Evil, I jumped into a different horror game.
Before we go on, I did just want to ask, how did you feel when you turned on the tank controls?
I hated it.
Oh boy.
I went with the more classic controls, and yeah, I would not have enjoyed that experience. I probably would not have enjoyed my experience with that game if I had to use tank controls.
Yeah, that was a thing for a while. Heck, I remember I played a JRPG called Jade Cocoon on the PS1, and that had tank controls in a JRPG, which was, not nearly as bad as having to, actually move around in a game with some amount of action in it, but it was still so confusing for somebody who hadn't used them before.
Friends don't let friends use tank controls.
Yeah.
But yeah, off the heels of that, I've jumped into Alien Isolation, which I'm still in the process of playing through. And the AI can be a little weird in that at times, but it really nails the atmosphere of, like, the first Alien movie. And, like, it's done a good job at spooking me a couple times. After a while, I feel I do get a little desensitized, to it. But for the most part, I've been having fun with that as well. Just playing some spooky stuff for October here.
Yeah, I can't do that myself. I get spooked way too easily. I've learned I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to gaming. So survival horror games, like, stuff just ain't in your control, and I just start freaking out.
Yeah.
That's why I like strategy games so much.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in Resident Evil 1, things really aren't in your control, because you're not even controlling where you're aiming. It's just luck that you're going to get a headshot.
Jeez.
So you could get a headshot in just a couple rounds, or you could ammo dump into a zombie before they die. Yeah, lack of control there, but RE2 remakes not like that, so I'm looking forward to jumping into that. But yeah, Alien Isolation, really been enjoying that. And I looked at the release date on that the other day, and I think it was 2014, and I felt myself aging.
Oh no.
I did not realize how old that game was, and that it came out back... It was still on the 360 and PS3.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, that's not the only Alien game I've actually been playing. I also did a co-op playthrough with two friends through Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Okay.
Which
yeah, nests onto Alien. It becomes an action thing.
Yep. And that's exactly what it is. It's a 3-player, bit weird choice, 3-player co-op, but kind of Left 4 Dead style-ish, where you're just advancing through waves of xenomorphs, just trying to get to the end of the mission, and then just goes to the next one, and they make up a chapter, kind of like Left 4 Dead. But yeah, that was a blast. I actually convinced my friends to change up a few settings to kind of immerse us a little more. I convinced them to turn off the enemy health bars.
Huh.
So that way, like, we don't know how close we are to killing them. And it really helped with the atmosphere of that game further. And that game, like, it also already forces you into a pretty low field of view, which works great for that. Normally, I prefer a higher field of view, but for something like that, it works great on a lower one. And yeah, so I mostly played through as the Demolitionist class, which basically meant I have the it's the from Aliens, that the gun which is like mounted. It's like a mini gun that's kind of like attached to you. And so in this game, it actually auto-targets. So I was just a walking turret. Just auto-targeting. Right. And it even auto-targets their heads.
Smart gun.
But yeah. But it was great, because if we were in a position where... if we were in a position with a lot of aliens coming at us from 2 different angles, I could pretty much cover one side on my own. And just keep them at bay there. But yeah, no, that was a fun game. Wouldn't have been as fun without 2 friends, but playing in co-op, it was a great game. But I did play it on Game Pass, so I didn't spend any money on that. But yeah, no, it was just, and it is a little jank, because it's not AAA. I'd say it's AA. It's got a little bit of jank here and there, but it wasn't without its charm. It was just a fun co-op experience.
Nice.
Yeah, and I guess there's one other thing I did jump into, which I've played a little bit of. I jumped into the new free-to-play game Overwatch 2.
Oh god, really? You gave Blizzard your phone number?
Yes, I did. That's Overwatch.
I haven't been able to keep track of just how messed up the release of this game has been.
It's been a bit of a mess. It's been a mess. The queues are gone now, at least.
Oh joy. I got that sword faster than WoW.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's Overwatch.
All right.
I can't really complain. Except now it's Overwatch with no loot boxes, but a shop and a battle pass.
Right.
Because it's free to play.
Yeah. Cosmetics, baby.
Yep.
And locked characters.
Yeah. Now, if you did own Overwatch 1, you actually get all 3 of the new characters without having to pay anything for them. I think 2 of them, I believe Junker Queen and Sojourn, who I've actually been playing quite a bit, I believe you can get them for free regardless, but you have to unlock them if you're like a new player.
Right.
But Kiriko, the new healer, she's locked in the battle pass. Which, if you buy the battle pass, you get her at tier 1. Otherwise, you don't unlock her till tier 55 out of 80.
And is this battle pass going to be limited?
2 months.
So after 2 months, you're not going to have access to this character then?
I feel like there's going to be a way to get them. I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, maybe you got to buy them individually then. But
buy them individually, or maybe there'll be like a long unlock process.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I suppose, here's the thing. If they limit access so that people can't have access to this character if they weren't there now, like, that's really messed up. Like, if they want this to be an esport, it's no longer an esport if they do that.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've wanted Overwatch to be an esport a lot, so...
They have leagues.
Yeah.
You can get league skins in the... Actually, I don't even know if you can get those now. Because I know in the original Overwatch there was the league menu to get league skins.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I was playing long enough to see that.
Yeah, I'd hopped in like, I can't remember the last time I hopped in. It was like a while back, like maybe like a year or two ago.
Yeah, I think the last time I played was when Doomfist got released. That was a while ago.
Yeah. No, I've been playing a lot of Sojourn, the new Canadian hero.
Oh, finally!
There's also a Canadian map, Toronto.
Ah, of course.
Of course. Of course it's Toronto.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sojourn, she's... In terms of weapons, she's like another soldier. Just a full auto assault rifle. But as you land shots, you charge up her secondary fire, which is basically just a railgun bolt.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, she's pretty fun, and her ult just makes her railgun charge up on its own pretty quickly. So you can get a number of the railgun shots off, and I believe with the ult activated, the railgun bolts will actually penetrate enemies too.
Ooh. Like that. Will it penetrate Reinhardt's shield?
If it's weak enough, maybe. Actually, they might penetrate shields. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, no, it's more Overwatch.
Do you notice it playing any differently with 5v5 instead of 6v6?
Yes. So my recommendation is don't match into open queue.
Oh.
Match into roll queue.
Oh, because they have a roll queue, okay.
Yes. And in roll queue, teams are limited to two attack, 2 support, and 1 tank. And all the tanks have actually gotten buffed a bit. They're a little beefier now because there's only 1 tank. But that 1 tank now can be a pretty big threat.
Mm-hmm.
And just in roll queue, like when you have that static set, it's a pretty good experience, I'd say.
Okay. But if you go into open queue, can you have like a team of 5 tanks?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where it can get a little...
Listen, my favorite match I've ever played in Overwatch was when I convinced... a friend I was playing with and the rest of our randos that we were playing with to go all Winston when the game was like first released.
When you could have multiple of the same character.
Yeah, and it was a like central point capture mission. Or no, it wasn't even a central point. It was just like the one where you capture the first point and then the second point. So we just all leapt onto the first point like immediately, basically. We almost got it before the enemies even got there. And with that much, like, pretty much surefire hit electricity, like, everything was just died. And the other team didn't, like, switch into, like, 6 Roadhogs to actually, like, deal with us. So we got the second point super quick, too. The entire match lasted, like, less than 5 minutes.
Just steamrolled them.
Yeah.
That does remind me, there is a new mode as well.
Yeah.
So this mode has a neutral robot in the middle of the map and a barricade on each side, and the robot will push this barricade, and your objective is to get the barricade pushed to the enemy's spawn. But the robot will only move ahead as far as it'll basically move ahead to whichever team has advanced more. So it can go back and forth because you keep pushing, like one team pushes one way and then you wipe them out, and then while they're respawning, you push the robot back and then push the objective more their way, and like it can just keep going back and forth. Like it's like a bit of a tug of war.
Right.
But yeah, Overwatch is Overwatch. Yeah, I guess there is yeah, that's it for what I've... Oh wait, no, there is one other thing I played.
One more thing?
Yeah, I dabbled a little bit in Fight Crab.
Oh no.
Which is a crab-based fighting game. And it's ridiculous. It's stupid fun.
I bet.
So basically the way this works is it's you pick your crab or lobster.
Ooh, it's got lobsters too?
There is a lobster, yes. But then there's it's mostly crabs, and then you can select their armaments. There's some two-handed weapons, or there's some, or I guess two-clawed weapons.
Yep.
But then there's also single-claw weapons. You can have a weapon in each claw, like I don't know, a pistol, or a sword, or a jet engine that you can turn on to fly around.
This just feels like a game designer saw that one like gif of the crab holding the knife and got inspired.
Yeah, no, that seems about right. But yeah, it's 3D, and the controls are weird. So you use the D-pad to select the direction you want to move, and you'll keep moving in that direction. The sticks control your claws.
Mm-hmm.
The bumpers are pinch, and the triggers are punch. Or if you're holding like a gun, the bumper is fire.
Right.
But you can also just toss away whatever you're holding with either B or X to correspond with like the left or right claw. And then you can pick, like, you can get your opponents to drop their weapons, and then you can pick theirs up.
Oh.
And so basically you just take damage over time. You take a percentage, and the higher your percentage, the more easily you're flipped over.
Oh, is that the victory condition?
And yeah, if you're flipped over, there's a 3 count. And if you can't get back up on your feet before the 3 count, it's over. But
Wow.
your percentage will just keep going higher and higher and higher, like Smash.
Wow. So is it like physics-based? Or is this like when you get flipped over, do you have to like crab your way out? Or is it just like mash buttons or something?
You kind of gotta kind of bit of both. You gotta crab mash your way out. But yeah, it's just it's stupid fun.
That sounds like it.
But yeah, speaking of fighting games, I just want to talk quick about Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. Beta codes went out for that.
Yeah, didn't get any here.
Me neither.
But I watched a decent amount, and that game looks so fun.
Oh yeah?
It looks great, and the netcode seems fantastic. I mostly watched Maximilian play.
Oh yeah.
And one of the matches I saw, he was playing against someone in chat who was... Now, Max is in LA, and he was playing against someone in New Zealand who was on Wi-Fi. And that match peaked at 4 frames of rollback.
Okay.
Where a usual, like, a good connection match is maybe, like, 1, and it'll maybe fluctuate to 2. So, that netcode is pretty good from the looks of it.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and everyone in that game just looks so fun. I kind of just want to, like, when that comes out, or hopefully an open beta, I kind of just want to try a bit of everyone.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be interested to get hands-on with that because, like, I don't know, Street Fighter's always looked pretty fun, but whenever I've actually, like, grabbed it with my hands, like, I just can't make anything happen. Even basic combos, like, like, in Super Street Fighter 4, I went to, like, the little challenge mode or whatever, where they give you, you know, some basic, like, combos, working up to more intense combos, and there's a lot of characters I was barely able to do, like, the first couple basic combos on. Like, Street Fighter's always felt just a little bit stiff to me, so it'll be interesting to see how this one feels. Granted, I didn't play 5, but I'm just more used to a lot of the flashier, more combo-based fighters that seem to have a little bit more leeway with how things link together.
Just as Max says, looser fighting games, not tighter.
Yeah. Like, you know, we got a video coming up where we played some Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and I had that game against you where I played the show, and I was literally mashing, but it looked like everything linked together or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was just insane offense. I'm just like, yeah, this is what I want. I want to be able to cover for my bad play. My bad execution.
Yeah, no, I like a bit of everything for my fighting. Like, I can play like I prefer loose, but I like tighter games as well. I mean, it just depends on the one though. But Street Fighter 6 definitely seems like it's not going to have the lack of content that 5 launched with. They
Hopefully.
seem to be doing everything to have the opposite release that 5 did. And it's looking great. Like, there's even some fun, like, modes as well. Like, there's a mode where instead of health, you have 5 pips, and each pip is a knockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to knock down your opponent 5 times, or get knocked down 5 times yourself first, but it also has a twist where there will be an occasional bull that charges in from off screen.
Okay.
And there also seems to be one that is a bit of a tug-of-war system with the health, where it's a shared health meter with an indicator in the middle. And it just seems to keep going. So, like,
you gotta get on a big roll to be able to win.
Yeah, you gotta get on a big roll, but, like, you can also, like, bring it back.
Nice.
But yeah, no, this game seems to Street Fighter 6, they seem to be they've put in the mechanics from, it seems, like 3, 4, and 5.
Wow.
So it's kind of like an all-inclusive thing. Like, parries are back.
Oh joy! I bet Justin Wong is happy.
I've already seen a clip on Twitter of someone in training mode setting Chun-Li to do that super, and then they parried every hit of it, and Justin responded, it's like, nah, I ain't getting hit by this. And actually, yeah, training mode is very feature rich. There's frame data displays.
Oh, nice.
Which come free with the game, whereas Tekken 7 charged you for the frame data.
Oh my god. Namco Bandai. What are you doing? You have all this Gundam money. You really need to nickel and dime people for frame data? That's the thing. Like, that's good to hear that Street Fighter 6 seems to be coming together really well. Because Street Fighter 5, like, Capcom was in such a bad position at the time that Sony had to bankroll a Street Fighter game. Which was insane. And then...
Well, so actually the head on Street Fighter 5 is no longer at Capcom.
Yeah.
He went on to the new Melty Blood. The people in charge of Street Fighter 6 are actually the ones behind Monster Hunter World.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, is just like, alright, Monster Hunter World? That's best-selling game in Capcom's history? Hell yeah, we got money now.
And not only
and
that...
then Resident Evil 8 did well, too.
Yep. But then not only was Monster Hunter World like their best-selling game, but the people behind it are also big fighting game people. So they put them in charge of Street Fighter, and it seems to be working so far from everything we've seen.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see Capcom continue to resurge because, like, they have a lot of games in their back catalog. Like, they were putting out a ton of stuff, and then just their catalog seemed to get more focused on only like 3 things.
Yeah, like Resident Evil,
Monster Hunter, and
Monster
somewhat
Hunter.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's nice to see Capcom in a resurgence for sure, and their new engine, the RE engine, seems to be real good. So they've just been using that for everything.
Yeah.
And this engine was even built with the Switch in mind too, so even it's good for Switch ports as well.
Oh, cool. Are they getting native ports instead of cloud versions?
Actually, there are some cloud RE games on the Switch.
Well done.
But like in terms of like Monster Hunter Rise, like it used the RE engine. That it was like I haven't played the Switch version, but I've heard it was really good. But I have the PC version, and it's like I just want the higher frame rate.
So I think is that all the games we've played?
Played and watched, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so I guess.
No,
one more.
There was one more thing.
It's turning into a Columbo episode.
I also finally played the Integrate campaign for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, okay. Extra stuff.
Which yeah, that was fun. Just a significantly shorter little side experience. Just showing you, oh hey, what's Yuffie up to?
Yeah.
What's Yuffie up to before she joins the party?
Let me tell you what she gets up to when she joins the party in the original game. So, Jesus Christ.
Actually, I think of all the playable characters in Remake, I think Yuffie was actually my favorite.
Nice.
I like the way she played the best, personally.
I still like don't know damn near anything about Remake, but I really hope that the other games do the Yuffie's main side quest right, because that's one of my favorite. Well, okay, it's one of the most impactful parts of that game in terms of from a gameplay perspective. It's a huge pain in the ass, but it's like kind of iconic.
Okay, yeah, I'm planning to play through the original before part 2 of Remake comes out. So I'll have a better comparison, yeah.
I still can't believe that Final Fantasy Remake is even a thing. Like,
it's really turned into its own franchise. It's a franchise in a franchise at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, speaking of Final Fantasy VII, I don't know if you saw, but the other day they announced that they're shutting down that Final Fantasy Battle Royale.
Oh, Final Fantasy Battle Royale?
It was a mobile-only game.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier. It hasn't even been a year since it launched. Barely a year.
Wow.
And they're shutting it down.
Listen, if you think the Final Fantasy series, like the main series and some of the side games, are a hellish landscape of weird ideas, like, you haven't seen anything until you get into the mobile stuff. I think there's 4 different Final Fantasy mobile gacha games.
Oh my god.
Like, it's insane.
Why do I feel like some of them are unlicensed?
No, they're all very licensed.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. There's Final Fantasy Record Keeper, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, The Brave Exvius spin-off, that was a Final Fantasy Tactics one. That's just horrible. And then I think there was a Dissidia branded one as well. So, like, I don't know, man.
Just a mess of how can we milk this franchise.
Yep. They're masters of the craft, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be their final game.
Yep.
Back in, 80...
God.
80-something?
Yeah.
Still going on strong to this day.
Yep. Final Fantasy 16, coming eventually. I wonder, God, morbid thought, but I wonder what number they'll get to by the time I'm dead.
Oh.
They started before I was alive. So,
yeah.
But, like, will they make it to 30? We'll see.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thought, but with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, what generation will they be on when I die?
Yeah, how many Pokemon will there be?
At this point, I think we're...
How many different versions of Charizard will there be?
Oh, God. Okay, so when I originally played my first copy of Red, which I picked up from the Cloverdale flea market.
Nice.
Because at the time, I didn't even know that it was a game. I just thought it was a cartoon on TV.
Right.
I didn't know it was based on a game. So when I'm there, I see the copy, I get it. I picked Charmander the first time. Now I can't stand Charizard. Like, I'm a Bulbasaur man now.
Hell yeah.
But
out of taste.
But, like, just Game Freak's or, like, the Pokemon Company's favoritism for Charizard just needs to stop. It got 2 different Megas. It got a Gigantamax form.
Before the other two.
Before the other two, because those ones came in the first DLC.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the star Pokemon of the champion of this region,
Charizard.
Like, come on.
And according to some leaks for Scarlet and Violet, Charmander's line is the only of the original starters that's transferable into Scarlet and Violet.
What are they doing? Like, honestly, what are they doing? Like, the assets are there. Like, why would they exclude?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's weird.
It's gonna be another selling point of whatever DLC they put out. Like, oh,
Probably.
here's another 100 Pokemon you can acquire. It's like, thanks, I guess.
At what?
You're telling us to collect them all, and then you're not even letting us be able to.
Yeah, I've got them all in my living decks in home. At what point can I get them all transferred onto the Switch? Not that I would do that, because you can't save your Pokemon game saves to the cloud, because they don't want you duping. So if I were to keep my living deck stored in games on the Switch, and something happened to my Switch and I lost all my save data, my living dex is gone. So I'm just... To keep my living deck safe, I'm stuck paying the, like, $20 a year, keeping them in Pokemon Home limbo. But at least they're safe in the cloud.
Yeah. Up until they decide to shut down servers. Alright, speaking of shutting down, I think it's time to shut down this podcast. This episode. Yeah, so as always, you can get into contact with us at 3levelsdeep@outlook.com. Send us an email. Or if you're watching this, listening to this on YouTube, you can leave a comment under the podcast episode.
Or you can go watch Santo stream some more Fire Emblem 7 randomizer over on Twitch at 3levelsdeep TV.
Yeah, give us a follow there to make sure that you're notified when we go live. That's all the plugs we have for you today. So I'm going to go plug my stomach with food. That doesn't make any sense. All right. Later,
Thanks
everybody.
for listening.